All right, hello, hello. For some reason, I can't unmute my mic. It's weird. I have to fucking click it. Hey, good morning. What up? Yeah, I'm done with Rust. No, CBA. That shit wasn't fun at all. I had zero fun. Got WoW tonight, but I've got like 4 hours before raid. No, 3.5. Yeah, 3.5 hours before raid. Final Fantasy, dude. I actually tweeted. I said, "Is Final Fantasy?" I'll just show my Twitter, because I was curious, right? Oh, wrong scene again, as always. Hang on. Boom, that one. I tweeted, is Final Fantasy MMO fun, or is it hype that will die in a week? Answer me now. I just tweeted this last night, and I'll be honest. I feel like I've already played the game just on reading Twitter comments. Die in a week? Yeah, a lot of people got offended by that. Like, it's been around for 8 years. Idiot. I'm like, well, has it ever had over 2K viewers on Twitch? I don't think it has. Twitch isn't all that matters. I mean, I guess you're right. Yeah, sure. I don't know. I feel like Twitch does matter. People probably don't like hearing that, but I feel like it does. But then I read other comments, and it seems like the game is, first of all, it has no PvP, or it's like been abandoned. So that's a massive downfall of the game. And then I just looked at everyone's Twitter profile, and I could tell, like, this is a game for cosplayers, weebs, and that's it. And raiders, yeah, maybe the PvE is actually good. I've heard good things about it, but just based on the community, I'm like, all right. Like, it's fun to RP as a cute cat girl. I know this person. Fun if you raid, even more fun if you like the story. It's really long though. I don't think I'm gonna give a fuck about the story, unfortunately. No, it's just been getting high praise for 7 to 8 years for no. How many? How big is this game in Asia? Like, or how? I don't know. You can see the stats here. Steam charts. The last 30 days, average players 25K. Peak players almost 50. Does this? Do they don't have Steam in like Asia and shit, do they? That's only Steam users. So this is how big it is in NA, in EU. Right? This is the people I actually am going to interact with. Oh, nobody plays on Steam. Oh. Really? So this is only Steam, and there's like a whole nother area people play. It doesn't count PS4 and non-Steam clients. Well, I don't count PS4 as people either. But if there's like a different client you could use. Like, I'm very cynical, and I don't like, people don't like it when I speak, and I get that. Very cynical. It has 2.5 million players, same as WoW. Is there anyone good at the game, or does like no one care? Like, is there no? I almost feel like there's no like, man, that guy's really good at Final Fantasy. Like, that doesn't exist. It's like, it's more so, man, that guy's got a really sick transmog. Raids are hard as fuck. Are the raids harder than WoW? Like mythic raiding, not BC. We're not even talking about BC. Yes, they're a lot harder. I just don't think I believe that. Like, don't get me wrong, I literally don't play retail, so it's not like I'm like, WoW is better. I'm not pulling that. I don't care. I'd be surprised to see like this with the 2-second GCD that I've seen and whatnot. I'd be surprised to see it be more difficult than WoW. On top of that, you want not a lot of people actually clear the mythic content in WoW because it's actually too hard for the average player. And I look at the average players of Final Fantasy, and they're more so like transmoggers, right? That's from my perspective. That's how I see it. Like, they're cosplayers. That's the truth. And once again, I don't care about retail. I don't play retail. I'm just looking at it objectively. From somebody who's never played this game. Let me see this.
Have you ever had the urge to punch someone?
15-year-old WoW nerd's impressions of Final. I mean, but is he even good at WoW? I don't know who this is.
Because, well, I flat out just forgot it. But every ability has some sort of animation lock before it's visually executed. Now, with that said, that kind of automatically implies that you're not going to be getting the fast, super responsive plays that you have in WoW, where you cast an instant cast ability and you can rely on it getting cast instantly. Here, you're going to have to get a lot more premeditated with your things in this game, because as soon as you use the ability, it technically has gone through in the system, but you don't really see the results until after the animation has ended. Sometimes the animation lock flat out blocks you from using another ability until it finishes its thing too, depending on what you play. So there's quite a few things to keep note of there. There's also this weird, almost permanent lag that's really apparent in duels especially. It makes overall reactive plays almost impossible to really do in time, and makes the game more of a fight of premeditation and anticipation more than an actual bar brawl that duels tend to be in WoW. Community!
Weebs and cosplayers.
Oddly enough, one of the main reasons that I believe PvP is on the lower end of the spectrum in terms of content, and personally I think is the biggest reason, is because that, well, there just isn't that huge of a PvP community in comparison to other things. Should have even heard that the ERP community in this game is bigger than the PvP community. Well, actually, now that I think about it, it kind of makes sense, because Playboy. Fundamentally, you kind of need people playing it for it to really be a thing, because you can't really do PvP by yourself. It's just kind of how it works. Now, I'm not saying it's entirely dead. The casual form of big group PvP called Frontlines has a pretty decently active player base, mostly because it's the only PvP event that has a daily roulette attached to it. So you get both the PvP folks and the normal folks hopping in for some quick fun. But outside of Frontlines, yeah, the PvP community is really small, and the dedicated PvP player base is even smaller. And I know you WoW folks are probably thinking you'll see a whole bunch of "the community is so great and nice" type of thing despite its size. Well, you might get that the first few days of doing it, but after around a week of hanging around the dueling area, well, eventually you'll run into the more normal PvP crowd that you all are probably more accustomed to. Maybe it's a little bit more tame than Duelotar. I haven't really seen anyone sell people over their IRL profession choices, personal financial standing, or overall life worth based on rating. Dueling is one of my favorite activities in MMOs in general, so this is kind of the place I tend to hang around often by default nowadays. Unfortunately though, a good majority of my experiences in the dueling ring lead to either me standing by myself at the pier, or me standing by myself while staring at a bunch of people staring at me just outside of the dueling pier. And those get a little awkward. However, when I do get around to dueling, I always end up having a good time, win or lose. Occasionally, apparently, there'll even be some events every now and then at the dueling ring where some players will host a tournament for other people to go through, and the winner gets some type of big old prize, and that's when the dueling ring is like the most packed I ever see. it is a nice change of pace. However, they can get a little wild. Front lines!
Is this like a
So to all of
BG?
you WoW fans, a while since they have to think about that second enemy team when they do things.
I don't want to watch this
mind
whole
it,
thing.
and I
I'm
think
just gonna
it's an
skim through
interesting
it.
bit of spice.
All right, I'm
compared
gonna
to
treat it
the
like
two teams
Netflix.
mechanic across all front lines. You're just
I'm
like,
Netflixing
stealing
this.
5 points from another team. Now, as interesting variety of front lines to choose. Oh wait, Isle of Shore. Fuck here. Yeah, when you put them side by side, there's like no comment really needed as to our 4 PvP things to do. But let me make things a little do. One D wasn't even choosier than when I and a parody that with doing and other interesting mechanics where you can at 2-0 in a battleground, then he's already either got a strong
I've
gear
been
advantage,
playing
a solid
for
skill,
5
someone
years.
with
It's a wonderful game with a ton of great endgame content. It has great raids and good grinds, but you don't care about that. PvP is just a casual side part of the game that almost no one takes seriously.
But I want to know, like, once you can you kill the hardest boss in the game in Final Fantasy? Like, can you just kill it super easily? Yes. Okay, then what? That's a dense question. Well, in World of Warcraft, when you kill the hardest boss, you do it again. But now it's like you don't care about killing the boss, you care about parsing. Now we're going to get into parsing. Is there parsing in this? Like, are there DPS meters? Do people care about that stuff? There are logs, yes. Okay, so parsing is a big part of this game.
that type of advantage.
Because that, to me, is a form of PvP. Like, PvP is the only fun thing in games. Competing against other players. That's just how I am.
Is probably not the best idea. You also get an extremely punishing slow for 10 seconds if you get hit while mounted. So despite being able to mount anytime you want, quick getaways are kind of a tricky thing to pull off depending on what you're playing. But altogether, it does scratch a bit of that normal battleground itch that I tend to crave, and it's really easy to just hop in and get right in. Super half a level. Pretty flat out. Normally I have this many high things. So this.
What is this?
So that's always a bonus.
They say what you said. Rival Wings?
So
The fuck?
this is pretty much a MOBA, but you're in it as an MMO pleb. I really wish I could show some footage of it, but for some reason,
What is
I
it?
decided not to record any of my
frames.
ventures in there. But some of you may be thinking, well, just queue for it and get in it again. And to you, I respond, I tried. I tried. The only reason I was able to get in the first place was because there was an event going on, and people had to collect these irregular tombstone things. So like, whereas in WoW you had 2v2s and 3v3s. Here, it's a 4v4 situation where you also
That's weird.
have to have a specific group combination to enter. The goal is to collect more
You need a
medals than the
tank?
enemy team by the end of the timer, or until you collect 600 medals in order to win. Yes, you heard me. It's not specifically just a one-life deathmatch like it is in WoW. Though it technically falls under the deathmatch category, since the only way to collect medals is by killing someone and grabbing their medals. But even so, you can still theoretically lose, even if you get more kills than the enemy team. And another thing, CC is actually very sparse in this game. Tanks have a stun, healers have a sleep, physical range DPS have a silence, and melee DPS don't have anything outside of the ninja's half-second silence. It gets a bit more varied with caster DPS, like black mages have an AoE sleep, red mages have a root and a slow, and summoners have a stun. And keep in mind, every single stun, sleep, and silence of the like lasts only 2 seconds, that's a ninja's half second.
Okay.
So you only get like literally like 1 or 2 hits in before they're out of the CC. So you don't get a lot of time at all.
Oh, so
if
it's a
you're
stun.
expecting a full
Okay.
like triple poly combo and just triple cyclones to a full kidney in order to lock down the healer to just annihilate the rest of his team here, prepare to either be disappointed or pleasantly pleased, depending on how you see the CC situation in WoW, because that's not really gonna happen to that extreme. Though I have to say that the primary tactic does land in the same vein as that. But if both DPS burst a target with 0 CC applied anywhere, the healer and the kill target can still live through it with the use of defensives, burst healing on the healer's part, and defensive stunts and AoE mitigation on the tank's part. And when it comes to those instances, then it's mostly just a mind game with the enemy healer as to who you're going to burst down next, so you'll be switching targets like a madman just to throw the healer off. Another interesting thing that I was not expecting in a PvP environment that's so communication heavy is that you
like a
can't
fucking
actually
battleground.
type anything to anyone when you're in the feast. You get these preset commands to use to tell who's going to be going down when. And the one you'll see the most often is focus target, and they'll pull down like a countdown timer of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and when it hits 0, everyone goes in and bursts them. Really handy. But another one I see used a lot is hello and nice job, where they will just spam the crap out of that when you ended up dying for a reason that may or may not be your fault. Yeah, there is a level of toxicity in this game. Hold on. So, turns out that hello is the feast lingo for my burst is ready, and it took me way too long to figure this out. If anyone is watching who has any connection with Square Enix employees, please, if anything, just let them add a new quick chat command where it just says my burst is ready instead of people saying hello, because new players like me, I thought it was already. Talk about this. I was actually able to get into some rated feast matches because this game has solo queue, and it's because of that one reason that I was
better
able
than
to
WoW
prove
already.
that footage that you see now. Square Enix, you may not be doing all that hot when it comes to handling your PvP situation, but I gotta give you some props for making solo queue exist. Because good lord, man, it's definitely helped my experience with the accessing PvP in this game. Kind of. Alright, so I'm gonna go back to bashing the dang thing by saying just, holy god, PvP just completely dies at the end of a PvP season. When I was trying to queue for the feast before the things the seasonal being that each ability has an animation lock of some sorts and whatnot. However, despite its faults and limitations, like I stated at the start of the video, I've literally been doing nothing but PvP for the past few weeks. And call me a
sad, strange little man.
But I actually have been enjoying the PvP combat in this game. So much so that my biggest problem with the PvP in this game is that there aren't enough people to fight. So fight me, darn it! But anywho, this video is getting long as is, so I'm just gonna wrap it up here. Thank you all very much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful life. Take care, folks.
Oh, God. How long does it take to reach max level? Another video?
Hey everyone, my name is Lynx Camelli, and in this week's video I wanted to jump on the bandwagon of why I quit WoW videos, but give my unique perspective as a hardcore raider and someone who doesn't enjoy the typical...
Okay, why? Okay, this is actually a mythic raider. I guess mythic raiding isn't that cool. It's still, he's done mythic raids. That's better than my entire chat already.
FF14 hooks like the story. Perhaps you're a mythic raider yourself and wondering if you'd enjoy raiding in FF14, or perhaps you're purely an FF14 player who wants to know how a hardcore raider finds enjoyment in the game. Either way, I often feel like these videos
I like
focus
this video.
on the casual side of 14 and not so much the high-end raiding side. So here's why I quit mythic raiding in WoW to raid in FF14. I'm a player whose enjoyment of FF14 comes almost solely from raiding, and have notoriously skipped all of the story content in 14, speedrunning to endgame, and reaching raiding as quickly as possible. This is a pretty uncommon gameplay style in FF14, with the main draws of the game being the story, the characters, the world, glamours, crafting, housing, and other forms of more casual content. This isn't to say I don't enjoy these parts of the game, and I don't look at skipping the story and rushing to endgame as some sort of badge of honor, but what I care about the most is endgame and high-end raiding. This probably sounds pretty familiar if you're a mythic raider in World of Warcraft. What I'm here to tell you is that despite the game not catering to high-end raiders, there is still tons of enjoyment to be found and difficult challenges to overcome in Final Fantasy XIV raiding. An important part of FF14 raiding that is often not very well discussed is the issue of boss count in raiding. What I mean by this is that every Savage raid tier in Final Fantasy XIV has only 4 bosses, and this sounds like an incredibly low amount compared to WoW's 10 to 12 boss raids, right? Well, I'm here to tell you that we do actually get
only one can be in or
boss
two?
counts
Okay.
per raid tier.
I'm looking at the mechanics. I'm not even
all in
listening.
Savage. You see, in World of Warcraft, raids are released as one complete piece of content, containing all of the bosses for a tier in one area. When a new raid in WoW is released, that is the raid, and aside from Mythic Plus, it's the only place you'll be facing new encounters. FF14 raids are broken up between 24-man raids, also known as Alliance raids, 8-man Extreme Trials, Savage raids, and Ultimates. There are 4 bosses per Alliance raid, 2
Wait,
Extreme Trials
8-man
per raid
raids?
tier.
What? How do they end on that number? Or are those normals? 2 tank, 2 heals, 40 PS? Okay. Yeah, the breakdown is different. That's going to be hard for my mind to get wrapped around.
4 Savage bosses per tier.
Weird.
And depending on how you look at it, 1 or 4 bosses in Ultimate, bringing us to a total of 11 or 14 bosses per raid tier cycle. The reason I say Ultimate can be 1 or 4, depending on how you look at it, is that Ultimate raids are boss gauntlets that contain multiple bosses split up by phases inside of one fight, which is why Ultimate fights are generally upwards of 15 to 18 minutes for one encounter. With the raids being
fuck
split
is
up
that,
like
golden
this,
bitch?
you have a trade-off of having more diversity and variety in bosses, where they exist in the game, their design, and their arenas, with the drawback being less highly challenging encounters and a smaller pool of bosses that drop the best gear in the game. The last part there is the most important. When looking to acquire the best gear in the game, yes, you will only have the 4 Savage bosses to tackle, as Ultimates only exist as an extreme challenge, not rewarding better gear, but a transmog weapon and a title to show off your accomplishment. The diversity of raiding, though, means that outside of your weekly Savage raiding, you have many other pieces of content that you can take part in and still...
Alright. I actually stopped listening a long time ago. I'm just looking at the raids and they look good. Maybe I will try it. I don't know. I feel like I'm going to put so much time and effort to like get to this part. Like to these raids and shit that I'm looking at, and by the time I get there, I'll no longer care. Dude, I think I'm old. Fuck. That's kind of how I feel on it. Also, there's a lot. Oh, man. Did you like Blade and Soul? What? How did Blade and Soul come into this? Blade and Soul was sick because it had awesome PvP. This game literally doesn't have PvP, pretty much. I shouldn't say literally so much. That's literally stupid. Boost. But if I know anything about World of Warcraft, here's what I would recommend. If someone who's never played WoW before...
Just so you know, max
no.
level doesn't really matter. You have to complete the main story quests, which takes about 150,200 hours.
Main story quests? I just play casually in Discord with us after stream. What do you say? Oh, just play casually in Discord? I could. But the problem is... I stream too much. Maybe I shouldn't say that now because I just got back from LA. I was in LA not streaming. But I literally stream too much. So now I'm home, it's like... And also, like, this week I have a bunch of shit going on.
What else do you have to do with your life?
Well... Mondays, I spend it with my mom, which I did yesterday. This Thursday, I'm spending it with my dad. Tuesdays, I raid in World of Warcraft. And then every other day, I stream like 12 hours. Like, I just stream too fucking much.
This is why I play.
Oh, Jesus.
In the online role-playing game Final Fantasy XIV, slaying dragons isn't the only fantasy fans are playing out. Meet Final...
Yeah, that's a play, I guess. I want to see the classes. I'm literally just interested in a bunch of MMO spells that I haven't been looking at for 15 years. New shit.
Just play She Will Punish Them forehead. There's loot stuff and that's good enough. Kek.
She Will Punish Them? I don't know what that is. I don't think I give a fuck about hearing other people's opinion anymore.
In Final Fantasy 14, you've got a
Oh.
bunch of jobs to choose from.
Oh,
And I've already
jobs
been-
are okay. This video I care about. This now there's classes. Let me see if
You're
anything
talking
stands
about
out
it.
to me.
Problem is, now everything is completely
This is
different.
literally gonna
So,
decide whether or not I
come
play. I'm
again
not even
with
kidding.
all the Shadowbringers jobs to help you pick what you want to play. You've got your tanks, including one new guy. They're the ones fearlessly charging headfirst into danger's way. And luckily, Shadowbringers made that even more straightforward. Simply turn your tank stance on, and you are now tanking. Turn it off, and you aren't. Wow. Speaking of danger, these are the healers. Always be nice to them. You don't want to know what happens when they get angry. Oh, thank you. No, that's not what I meant. Shadowbringers gave the healers a super special power big heal mode. The melee DPS are here to cry about mechanics that keep them away from the boss. So in Shadowbringers, they gave the melee 2 free I don't need positional anymore buttons. But they still complain. And these are the casters. They go big shooty boom boom magic. What did they get in Shadowbringers? More big shooty boom booms. The ranged can run around without any loss of DPS, and they've got a new friend who everybody loves. Except the other ranged. Anyway, let's go look at the jobs. Dark Knight. It uses a big ass sword. Play this job if you want to use a big ass sword. It's got a special stance you gotta keep up, obviously called the dark side. You keep this up by using Edge of Shadow and Flood of Shadow, of course.
This is so edgy.
And you can even reach inside your soul and take out your inner darkness, and he can fight along with you. And it's got a special mode, Delirium, where you can spam heavy-hitting attacks like Blood Spiller or Quietus, which otherwise would cost Blood Gauge. Yeah, it's got a blood gauge. For mitigation, it has the blackest night,
Every
which is a
time you
shield
mention
put on
going to your
yourself
mom's
and lets
house,
you use
this
a
is
blood
how I
gauge
imagine
ability
you
for free
going
to
there
get
after
breaks.
streaming.
And its invincibility
Hang on.
is called Living Dead, which you activate it first, and then you have to die. Once you die, then you're walking dead, and you're actually kind of not dead. But somebody has to heal you up to full, otherwise you really do die. Gunbreaker. These guys were the personal guards of Queen Gunhilda herself. Who is that? I don't know. Gunbreaker is what you would get if you wanted to play a tank, but you also were like, I really like DPS. It's got a 3-part combo, but it actually has a separate 3-part combo inside of another 3-part combo. It kind of makes sense. It has a powder gauge with cartridges in it. The regular combo will earn you cartridges, and then you can spend the cartridges in order to do the special 1, 2, 3 combo. So it's very
I'm not
clicky.
playing
It's
this.
a very clicky, fun job. Its invincibility is called Superbolide. Basically, you shoot yourself, and now you can't get hurt anymore, because if I hurt myself, the enemies can't hurt me. Paladin. It's got a sword and
Nope.
a shield. To be a paladin is to be protection itself. Paladin is really good at party utility and helping your friends not die. It's got a physical damage phase and a magical damage phase. During your physical phase, you've got a damage buff, and then you've got a dot combo, and then a regular combo that will unlock a heavy.
Where are the
hitter
DPS
called
meters?
Royal Authority. And this you can use 3 times in a row. Then you go into your magical phase where you can attack at ranged with heavy hitting magic attacks and a big AoE attack again, Confiteor. You've got the wings to protect your entire party. You can also heal yourself or heal a target, and its invincibility is Hallowed Ground, which just makes you straight up
Literally get
invincible.
banned
You
for
can't get
DPS
hurt.
meters?
Warrior,
What?
It smashes. It's got an axe and it smashes with the axe. Warrior doesn't care about mitigating damage. They're just all about hit me anyway. I can take it. Just hit me. It's got 2 combos. One that applies a damage
No,
buff,
you
and
don't.
one that builds its wrath gauge more. It's got a special mode, Inner Release, that allows it to spam the
Is this
heavy-hitting
like-
attacks like Falcon,
Hold on, are DPS
Decimate,
meters
both
like,
a single target and
what is it? T-Morph in WoW? Where you could use T-Morph, but if you stream using T-Morph, you're fucked? Yes, but you don't get banned. Do they send me an angry email? What do you mean? Why is this if you don't get banned, why is this subject coming up? What do they do? You can't you can't talk shit about DPS. Let's just say I was in a party with someone and that person was literally worthless based on the numbers. Can I just kick him out of the group and just never play with him again? As long as you don't say it. Like, ah, you smell bad. Your breath stinks. Okay.
And AoE attacks can be enhanced when you first use.
I remember just thinking about why they actually do that.
Is all about
The
building up the gauge
devs.
so you can use it on attacks to just smash more. It's got a fun mitigation called Vengeance, where you get
And I can
hit
tell they
and
are
you
really
just slap
pandering to
a
their
button. Or
cosplayers.
it can increase its HP even more because above 100k health isn't enough. Its invincibility is called Holmgang, where you tether to an enemy and now your HP can't go below 1. Samurai. They wield a katana and offer 0 party utility besides their big damage. Samurai's core rotation works around 3 separate combos. Each time you finish a combo, you earn a sticker, or otherwise known as a sen. You spend these sen on powerful iaijutsu moves, and the move changes depending on how many stickers you had when you use it. If you use it with 1, you get a dot. With 2, you get an AoE attack in front of you, and with 3, you get a heavy-hitting single-target attack. It also has another resource called Kenki that you build up and you use on heavy-hitting attacks. You notice a lot of these are heavy-hitting attacks. It's because all of Samurai's attacks do it. Shadowbringers gave Samurai even more big attacks, like Shoha, an attack you can only use when you gather up 3 meditate stacks. It also has 2 separate AoE combos and overall flows very well from one combo to the next, building up
As long as you
resources
don't talk
and
about
spending
third-party
them.
mods
These
in
guys are
game, they
all
won't
about
ban
throwing
you.
away the weapons,
You can
and
stream
instead,
with it,
your
but they
body is
mainly
the
don't
weapon.
want the
Monk
mods
has 2
since people
combos.
will hang
Sounds
it over
straightforward?
others' heads
It
and be
is,
toxic
but each
in
one of
game.
those has a positional requirement. Every single one. All the other melees only have a handful of positionals. Monk takes that and says, I want all of them. Shadowbringers also gave Monk a 4th
Okay.
stack, which makes them attack even faster. And
I'm just trying to
farther.
picture World of Warcraft
It builds
without
up a
DPS
resource
meters
called
right now.
Chakra that it can use on a single target attack or a ranged attack, and other buffs that mostly
I
work
see a
around
lot
its
of
2
DPS
separate
getting
combos.
really
It does
lazy
really high damage, but still
and
offers
not
some
like
party
literally
utility with a
AFKing, be like,
physical
all right,
damage
keep going,
buff to the
guys.
party. Dragoon. It uses a spear. They kill dragons, and the reason why they're so sharp is because even if a dragon eats them, they can still kill the dragon on the way out. Dragoon also has 2 combos, but instead these are longer combos. Most of the other physical jobs in the game are 3-part combos. Dragoon is 5. It's a very static rotation that you're going to do one combo and then the other combo, and you're always going to stick to that. But it has a whole lot of off-global cooldowns that you're going to use.
I think
in
I'm more
between
excited
them
for the
to keep it
casters.
interesting. It centers around keeping up above
More than any of these
the
melee
dragon.
characters,
However,
I'll be
when you
honest.
collect 2 eyes of the dragon and you activate Ger Skogul, you unlock Life of the Dragon, where you glow red instead, and you unlock even more powerful heavy-hitting attacks, including Star Diver. It's got a bunch of different jump attacks that range from jumping to the opponent and back to where you were, or jumping over to the opponent, or jumping away completely, or off the edge. Dragoon offers some cool party utility, like a crit buff to everybody.
Get this Dragoon off my screen. I don't care about this, I'll be honest.
Ninja. Do you know
Oh, God.
Naruto? Well, me either. Ninja's got a really cool mechanic called ninjutsu. You have 3 ninjutsu abilities.
Get off my
which,
screen.
depending on the order
Please
you push
get
them in,
off
will
my
change the attack that it
screen.
performs. You have things like an attack speed buff or an AoE in the ground that looks like dirt. Shadowbringers added a cool
I don't like
effect
my
where you can
monitor right
augment
now.
Some of the ninjutsu abilities. If you use Kasatsu before activating them, it'll change your fire breath into a huge fire tornado, or it'll change your ice
Can you
breath into
PLS
water
fix your
shurikens
audio?
like
The
Greninja.
video
You
is
also
super
can tap
quiet.
into your secret Hokage arts
Shut the
and
fuck up.
Cane.
Oh, I hit a button on my mouse and skipped forward. Sorry, hold on, let me go back. Spoilers.
Change your ice breath into water shurikens like Greninja. You also can tap into your secret Hokage arts and activate Bunshin, which will be a shadow of yourself, and it will mimic every attack that you do. It's also got a really good party buff called Trick Attack, which will make the target take extra damage from the entire party. Ninja has
He
a lot
just
of
summoned a
interesting
frog?
mechanics to its toolkit that goes beyond just simple combos. But you might have to devote an extra brain cell to remembering what ninjutsu does what. Machinist is what you would get if you combined a cowboy with a Gundam with a Terminator. This is the ranged with the highest damage and the one with the least amount of RNG in the rotation. And I don't really have to say any more about it because you can summon a frickin' mech. And while you're doing all of your attacks, you're overheating. You go into your overheat gauge. You're spamming your cool abilities that give you your cooldowns back, and you're hitting buttons like a freaking madman, and your mech is over there punching shit. Oh, and you have a flamethrower. Need I say more, really? I mean, for AoE, you got some other cool stuff, like overheat will now actually be a crossbow instead. You got a drill that you shoot out like a Giga Drill Breaker, and you have a special button that makes it guarantee it crits.
This class seems pretty cool.
Combo is now superheated mode always. This job is all about balancing your battery gauge and your heat gauges to use all of your cool special boom explodey powers. Bard, this is the job with the bow and arrow. Every MMO has one. This is ours. But not only can you shoot arrows, you can also sing songs and help your party members do things. And its rotation is in the middle ground.
FF14 is basically all about the story, content, and transmog. Your 3 favorite things about WoW. Also, talking shit is frowned upon, so you'd get banned in like 15 minutes. Pepe laugh.
On Refulgent Arrow. You've also got a new gauge called the Soul Gauge, which is used on Apex Arrow, and it does more damage the higher the gauge is. For utility, you've got stuff like a heal buff or damage buff or remove a bad thing on somebody, and of course a party damage reduction. Dancer. This is the new guy. It uses chakrams that it throws around and kills its enemies with belly dancing. It has the lowest personal DPS, but it can super buff its dance partner. It has 2 separate dances, and when you activate one, you go through steps like a Simon Says game. Standard step will be an AoE attack and activate a damage boost for you and your dance partner. Technical step will be a longer step dance, but this will be a damage buff for the whole party. Its rotation is very RNG dependent. It has a 2-part combo, and each of those can proc another attack. And then each of those attacks can now proc fan attacks. And then the fan attacks can proc a final fan attack. So there's a lot of layers of RNG to the rotation. It also has a separate gauge that you use on a big hitting attack called Saber Dance. And for movement, it has 3 separate dashes that it can use. Black Mage. It uses a magic stick and explosions and a whole lot more explosions. This is the magic version of the selfish DPS class and specializes in longer cast times that deal super high damage with the trade-off that you're trying to minimize your overall movement. Black Mage's rotation goes through an ice phase where it regenerates mana and a fire phase where it spends all of its mana on the really heavy hitting attacks. Shadowbringers added a finisher to the fire phase called Despair. Black Mage has a
that thing is hit for 65,000.
you want to keep up called Enochian, which allows you to
oh
use
my
the
god
heavier hitting spells, and if you have it up long enough, it unlocks a
I was just looking
special
at the numbers other
ability
classes did. I assume they have the same level of gear.
There's now
The other
also
guy's
a
rating
way
for
to
like
keep your
10,000
abilities up
at
during
most.
downtime. Summon.
This guy's
It
popping
uses
over
a
like
book,
6
but it's not
digits.
trying to be smart with it. It's mostly picture books. Summoner is our pet DPS job. There's Ifrit for single target, Garuda for AoE, and Titan for Summoner's rotation works on a 2-minute cycle of various phases that you go through. There's Dreadworm Trance, where you invoke Bahamut's Aether and you unleash it in a big Death Flare attack. After this, you're able to summon Bahamut and command him to do big Akmorn attacks. And after him, you can summon Phoenix to do special fire moves and heal the party while it's out. Also, 2 of your spells become super Phoenix fire moves instead. Summoner is also one of 2 jobs that can raise dead party members, though you either have to hard cast it or save your swift cast for it. Red Mage. It uses a sword with a focus thing attached to it. This is the job that combines black magic and white magic together in order to do magic casting while also doing physical damage as well. Red Mage is special because every other spell that it casts is instant with the dual cast trait. So you will hard cast the shorter spells and then instant cast the longer ones. You'll do this while alternating building your white and black mana, and once you have enough, you can go in for the melee combo, finishing it off with either a Ver Holy or Ver Flare big attack, and then another final big attack called Scorch. Shadowbringers also added an AoE rotation using Ver Thunder and Ver Arrow too, and then instant casting Impact. And then you have an AoE melee attack as well. Ren Mage is the only DPS with a good single target heal, and it's the other DPS that can battle raise. And because of dual cast, you can instant raise people. White Mage, it uses a cane. White mages draw on the Aether all around them from nature in order to do really big bursty heals or regens. As for its heals, it's very straightforward. You got Cure 1 and Cure 2 for single target. You've got Medica for AoE, Medica 2 for an AoE regen, and Cure 3 for a big AoE heal but very close around you. In Shadowbringers, they added some instant abilities that use up lilies from the lily gauge, and when you use up 3 lilies, it unlocks Afflatus Misery, which is a huge AoE damage nuke. White Mage's oh shit ability is the wings. You sprout beautiful wings from your back, and now everybody around you takes less damage, and all of your healing is super mode. Scholar. They use a book because they're so smart, and they want everybody else to know how smart they are. Scholar specializes in shielding the party from all the damage in the first
Priest.
place. And it is the pet healer that we have in this game. For single target heals, you got Physic, a small single heal. You also have Adlo, which is a heal plus a shield on a single target. And you have Succor for an AoE heal plus a shield. And there are a few abilities that can manipulate the shields. Emergency Tactics will change the shield into a heal. Recitation will guarantee that it crits so you can have a big shield. And Deployment Tactics will spread the shield to nearby party members. Chain Stratagem is Scholar's utility. It will raise the critical hit rate on the enemy for everybody. Scholar's other resource, Aetherflow, can be used on certain abilities, like an instant single target heal, a party AoE heal, and a placeable shield that reduces damage taken and heals the party. Scholar's super move is an upgraded fairy that does bigger shields and healing than the regular fairy and AoE shields. Or you could just eat your fairy and get a whole bunch of Aetherflow to spend. Astrology. It uses a globe of stuff with cards on it. They heal by looking up at the stars and planets and sparkly things. They're also able to switch between a shield mode or a regen mode depending on which healer they're paired with. It has a normal single target heal.
It's only 4 classes I like so far,
single target heal that
or have any interest in playing.
It's also got a party AoE,
and I feel like an asshole for even wanting to play them, considering they're all DPS classes. I don't have no interest in the tanks.
System, which is able to draw upon and buff all the party members' damage.
I don't like
Once
the
it gets
healers.
enough different types of seals, it can buff the entire party at the same time. And Astrologian's
Because I only have
move is
fun
called
with doing big
Nutrisect,
numbers, not
which will
healing.
change all of your aspected spells to activate both the shield and the regen at the same time, as well as buff all the heals in general. And
But even
that
then,
is all of the
that's all.
Shadowbringers
Like that's all of
jobs.
them.
Now keep in mind, you can play all of these jobs on the same character. That is the beauty of Final Fantasy XIV. All of the jobs can do
What?
all of the content in the game, where some of them are a little bit better at certain special things. Like if you want to solo old content, you know, Red Mage or Paladin are probably a little bit better at that type of thing. So the best advice is just pick which one looks really cool to you, and you'll be more motivated to get good at it. So this video will be good for a little while until the next expansion comes out and completely changes it all over again. Okay, bye.
Huh.
In Final Fantasy.
Yeah, the only classes I liked were the red and black mage, and then the belly dancer. This motherfucker.
Says game. Standard step will be an AoE attack and activate a damage.
This
boost
actually
for
looked
you
cool
and
to
your
me.
dance partner. Technical step will be a longer step dance, but this will be a damage.
Am I a
boost for
loser?
the party. Its rotation is very RNG dependent. It has a 2-part combo, and each of those can proc another.
I think I'm a loser.
And each of those.
And then I like
now
Ninja
proc
too,
of a
as
static
Mimi as.
rotation
Oh,
with
and I
a
like this
zero-
guy. Now, will I play any of them? I don't think I'm gonna play. I don't think I'm gonna play. I'll be honest. What about Lost Ark? Wait, hold on. Someone link me a video. Every time I say I have to go to my mom's, they think of this.
I don't want to grow up. I want cookies and Milky. I want a sweater with love in the stitches.
Get off my screen. Thanks for the $5. Appreciate it. Oh, hey, chat. You were trying to listen to this video. It'd be a shame if this dono was louder than the video. Stay mad, chat. Pay, laugh. Thanks for the $5. You got him, man. Lost Ark. Isn't Lost Ark like that dinosaur game?